This Friday was a great Friday if you were an AI investor, a chip investor, a neo cloud infrastructure investor, where some of these stocks were up 7, 8, 10% on the day. And this is the easiest example of why one shouldn't try to time market, because if you sold off during the sell off these past few days, you missed out a massive, massive amount of gain. So in today's episode, I want to focus on Nvidia, but there are other companies that I want to look at. When would I purchase Nvidia? When would I purchase AMD? And some of these popular AI infrastructure stocks that also saw a nice run up. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for their subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so Nvidia had, in my opinion, a really good day, up roughly 2.2%. Obviously, it wasn't like some of the other players, but remember, this is a $4.5 trillion behemoth. Now, for Nvidia, what I am super excited about is this upcoming week, we're going to have GTC DC. Washington, D.C., and that starts October 27th to October 29th. Now, in my opinion, for most investors of Nvidia, the best, if you only have one thing to watch, is going to be the keynote. The keynote will be on Tuesday, October 28th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And they mentioned expect more than product news, expect a roadmap for how AI will reshape industries, infrastructure, and the public sector. Now, this is the second GTC they're doing here in the United States this year. The first one was in California, and that's when they really showcase. That's the main GTC. That's where they really showcase all the new products. So I am going to be interesting to see how much they reveal here. From my view, and I was looking at all the sessions that are going to be happening in this keynote, or during this event. A lot of them have to do mainly with the public sector, with government, with improving sovereign AI. So obviously they're trying to cater to who most likely will be huge customers and huge attendees of this event, right? It will most likely be companies that work with one of those sectors. I also believe this is the reason NVIDIA chose GTC, is a way to showcase to the current administration that, hey, look, NVIDIA is the company of the United States, right? So I do believe there's a little political reasoning behind this, but overall, it's going to be pretty interesting. And again, the keynote is going to be one of the ones that I will be keeping a closer eye on. Now, a lot of companies will have small sessions, and during these sessions, they kind of just share close overviews or maybe recent small partnership announcements with NVIDIA. There are going to be companies like AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft, Oracle that will all have a session depending or explaining something about how NVIDIA and these companies are used to improve AI, to improve sovereign AI, to help out the public sector, to help out a lot of these government agencies. Now, so interesting players are going to be Nebius. I know Nebius is very popular right now. They will also be having an event, and these are their sponsors, but usually their sponsors are the ones that are going to be doing a lot of talking. So I think, again, I'm not expecting too much, and Nvidia already being a $4.5 trillion company, I wouldn't expect this to move the stock double digits or anything. We might hear some bullish sentiments. We might hear some bullish thoughts. As a long-term investor, what do I look like? What do I look for in these keynotes? These keynotes are just more and more evidence, little data points that I can continue to add to my long-term bullish thesis, where I believe NVIDIA will continue to outperform the market. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is something that has really gotten very popular in the past few days, and it's this. So, NVIDIA GPUs in space. And the world is going crazy. This is actually on October 23rd. But if you've been following this channel, this is why this is the best channel for NVIDIA and AI news. We talk about things ahead of everybody. October 15th, we actually saw NVIDIA discuss this, and we actually even talked about it in our channel. Now, it's crazy. Many people are saying NVIDIA is talking about building data centers in space. This is the top. We're giving NVIDIA too much money. Let me just first say that this is not NVIDIA doing it. NVIDIA has kind of like a startup program where they invest a little bit of money to make sure all these different startup companies are up and running. One of those startup companies is called StarClouds, and they're the ones that are trying to do this. Now, the first test, and we kind of talked a little bit in October 15th, the first test happens in November, where StarCloud is going to be launching H100 into space. And this is going to be the first time a state of the art data center class GPU is in outer space. So there is a team, not NVIDIA, it's an independent startup company that is focusing on this. NVIDIA just want to showcase because it is part of their inception program. So pretty cool. I don't think this is saying that it's the top. It's just interesting to see that in the current ecosystem of the AI market and building AI data centers, one needs to be creative. And the creativity of this company is something that caught the eye of NVIDIA. Now, the next thing I want to look at is on, if you go to NVIDIA's investors presentation, they did release a new slideshow. I actually don't know when they actually released it, but this is for October of 2025. I'm going to take a closer look. We can do that right now in the video, but NVIDIA sometimes drops information when people don't even know it. And again, this is the best place you're going to find any of that news. So this is their October 2025 slideshow. And just a quick overview of NVIDIA's evolution. It started off as a chip company, right, in the 1999. But as it continues to evolve, now they believe they are an AI infrastructure. They don't believe, they say they are an AI infrastructure, which is true, right? If you want to build an AI infrastructure player, you talk and you call NVIDIA. It's no longer just a rack system. This is where a lot of companies are right now, right? A scaling up a rack system. And then he says, we're not a rack scale. That was the thing of the past. We are an AI infrastructure company now. They also talk about this $3 to $4 trillion AI infrastructure spent by 2025. And they give us this chart right here where we can see the continued growth, and we expect some continued growth in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. If NVIDIA just grows with the market, that's massive revenue growth, right? That's the opportunity for NVIDIA to dominate the market. Now, very similar for any other AI companies here who are pretty small, this can also be a very, very bullish case for you. They kind of talk a little bit of why AI infrastructure spend is expected to grow dramatically. Major shift of hyperscales to generative AI, a new industry, the model makers, enterprise moving to agentic AIs in forms of labor works for coding, the robotics industry as well, with autonomous vehicle, factories, and edge powered by physical AI. So those main reasons are the reasons we're going to see this massive investment in CapEx. And they talk a little bit about kind of their solutions. We have here CUDA, which has enabled a lot of acceleration libraries. They talk about the scaling laws, right? How there's pre-training, there's post-training, but now test time scaling, or a pretty much agentic AI, is going to be a massive growth opportunity. They talk about how ChatGPT is at 700 million weekly active users, which with usage up 4x year over year. We also see Microsoft processing trillions of tokens. Same with Alphabet, 900 trillion tokens in the month of June across its AI services, up from a monthly run rate of 480 trillion tokens in May. So you see this continued growth and demand for token generation. Now they talk about the different ways that NVIDIA provides solutions. First, in the robotics, you use the GB200 for training and robot AI. You use the Jensen HGX store for manipulating the robot, and you use RTX Pro servers for practicing in a digital twin. Now, very similar, this kind of concept can actually go with a lot of different products. Here we have driving cars, where you do GB200 for training. You use the RTX Pro servers for practicing in a digital twin, and you have the Drive AGX store for the overall compute within the vehicle. They talk about other types of AI, edge AI, physical AI in forms of factories. You can have all different types of robots, all different types of sensors in the factory itself. So the immense amount of market opportunities just within these industries is crazy. And that's that they haven't even talked about healthcare or anything like that in these $3 to $4 trillion spending. Obviously, they might have already calculated within it, but it's just the market might not even understand that that's an important industry for this AI space. Now they show us a little bit more about their roadmap for the upcoming years. It's crazy, right? Nvidia is doing so well, and we're only right here, right? This is where we're at right now. Nvidia is just shipping out the Blackwell Ultra. We still have Rubin coming out 2026. We still have Feynman coming out in 2028. Maybe we get more of an update here, but a few upgrades here from the last time we saw. First, we're seeing Bluefield 4 here. I think that was always the case, but we are seeing a lot of these chips now really showcase and show some length. We see the Rubin CPX, which is kind of the new ASIC GPU that's going to be integrated into the Rubin era, which is going to help with dramatic visualization, coding, and other high AI tool models. Then we see here with Feynman, we have the Bluefield, we have the NVLink 8 switch, we have the Spectrum 7, and the list goes on and on and on. So overall, pretty darn amazing how we're just here still. Now, another aspect here is NVIDIA just showcases that in a lot of training and inference benchmarks, NVIDIA continues to lead. And it puts, I actually am surprised, right? It puts, I don't, this is, sometimes I think NVIDIA is not a little petty, but it says NVIDIA GPUs continues to dominate. The only second player here that they decide to name is Google TPUs, right? Google's TPUs have done okay, but nowhere near the level of NVIDIA in forms of training and inference awards. Then all others. Here on all others, you obviously include companies like AMD, but NVIDIA historically dominates in all these spaces. And they kind of showcase how, for example, compared to the H200, the GB200 is about 15x throughputs, has a better throughputs per GPU. So the higher, the better for an AI factory, and overall, a big improvement from the H200. They also talk here about their partnership with OpenAI. What's really interesting here, we talked about it again, but OpenAI will buy directly from NVIDIA, secure multi-cycle supply, forging close engineering collaborations to build AI factories. And that's the massive thing about this, right? OpenAI is becoming its own independent hyperscale player, and that's something NVIDIA mentioned in the past. So pretty cool slide, a great overview, but also a great look into the future and what NVIDIA believes is the market opportunities for this player. Now, again, it was a really great day. If you were into these Bitcoin mining companies turned turned hyperscale, great days. Cypher mining up 19%, Hive up 17%. The one that I owned right now, pretty nice amount. White Fiber Wi-Fi up 70%. We even have Iron up roughly 12%. If we look at some of the chip AI stocks, we also see Nebius, not a chip, but in the AI player, up 10%. We have Advanced Micro Devices up 7.6%. We have CoreWeave up roughly 7.4%. Even Micron was up roughly 5.9%. So overall, a very bullish day. Now, some might be wondering, Jose, you talked about NVIDIA and AMD a lot. Are you planning on purchasing anything right now? Now, for AMD and NVIDIA, I tend to look more at forward or next 12 months PE ratio. Now, AMD, I believe their forward PE ratio is very out of whack because market analysts, and again, all these are dependent on analyst estimates, are not correctly or haven't adjusted the numbers just yet with this OpenAI news that AMD had. Regardless, both of these are, in my opinion, more of dollar cost average. This is what I like to do. It's not time to load the truck, in my opinion. It's more dollar cost average. For me, for both of these, if the next 12 months forward PE ratio gets below the 30s, that's when it gets a lot more attractive, right? If right now NVIDIA is sitting at 32.64, if we get into 29s, 28, super attractive. If we get anywhere near the mid 20s, that's extremely heavy buy position for me. Everybody's a little bit different. Now, the other thing is I did do kind of three high growth stocks that I was kind of buying, just three or that look interesting to buy about 3 days ago. The three stocks were CoreWeave, Nebius, and Oracle. And for those stocks, I actually even showcased some of the values that I wouldn't mind buying some of those players. So let's go here with Nebius right now. So with Nebius, I had this chart where red is dollar cost average, but the closer you get to yellow, the heavier the dollar cost average is. And then green is like super heavy dollar cost average. It doesn't mean I'm going to get there, but it's just like if we're at the top, Most likely, if I'm dollar cost averaging, it's going to be a very low amount. The lower we get and the closer we get to the different change, the higher that dollar cost of average amount increases. And that's just my overall mentality. And we can see as we shifted to that below $100 line, it did that massive turnaround. This is still what I'm staying here with Nebula. So right now, with this current run up, it's more of a small dollar cost average again. Now with CoreWeave, I'm gonna say we saw something pretty similar. I'm not a fan of price targets. I just like to look at stock price movement based on volume. And if I am bullish on the stock, that dictates my dollar cost averaging. Low dollar cost average, medium dollar cost average, heavy dollar cost average. Heavy dollar cost average is me trying to find money everywhere and anywhere to be able to put in the market. So again, red, if we start to go, and the red can go higher and higher, but as we start to get closer and closer, that dollar cost average increases and increases. And we pretty much saw this nice turnaround. Again, I'm still very bullish in these companies. We saw some massive days, so it's going to be a very volatile day. We might be able to push back and get some other red days next week. Regardless, I am still very much bullish in the long term of these companies. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to check out the links down below for any special offers that I have. You get promotions, you get 15x% off, you get potential shares. So just check out the link below. Take care, have a good day, and see you all next time.